Hi, my name is Lita. I was asked to record a Blender JumpStart video. This will be getting you introduced to Blender and explaining the settings and also the 3D environment. If you've never used Blender before, I'll try to be as thorough as possible. Um, I've seen a lot of messages online about handholding in Blender, but I also find that most people who have been using Blender or teaching Blender for a long time really miss a lot of steps. So I think that just providing a different opinion and viewpoint of how to use Blender will just let people learn from a different perspective. So for this video series, we're going to cover several main points. For a basic Blender JumpStart 2019 video, just part 1, we cover downloading the programs, setting in preferences, basic Blender hotkeys, viewpoint and screen views, hints and tips, object mode, and saving. We'll be covering editing in the next video, but this video is just trying to get you used to Blender and opening the files. This is not a full guide, and my video series might come out slowly, so sorry in advance. The sound quality is pretty bad, but can you imagine how bad it is when I am recording in less optimal environments? And again, I will recommend other people's tutorials when I feel like if they cover the topic better. I don't have to create a video for every topic. I'll just cover the videos that I feel that I struggled with learning Blender. And this Blender series is more like what I wish had been covered when I started learning Blender. I'm going to set 2 keys for this whole series. I just want to make it as basic as possible. Blender is a very overwhelming program to use, and I will try to break down how to save, the file types, X, Y directional keys, vertex, edge, face, polygon, and size info, as well as the object mode. I'm not sure we'll be able to cover the edit mode in this video, but the edit mode has a lot of options. So if you've never used Blender before or a 3D program, you'll be very excited to what you can use and learn through this program. And it's this whole Blender software is free. So if you want to download it right now, go ahead. I'll show the website and show you how to download it. So if you're installing Blender for the first time, you just go to blender.org. I'll put the link up in text, and you will click here, download Blender. It will take you to the download page. You have 3 options, Mac, Linux, and Windows. So you can actually install it in multiple systems, and just make sure you download, when you download Blender and install it, when you're first putting your Blender preference, you choose right mouse key for select and space button for to upload. So if you made a mistake, I will help you change that back to the original settings. So for this Blender JumpStart tutorial, we're only going to use 2 button settings. We're going to use the right mouse button for select and the space button for pulling tool. So here I'm using the right button for selecting it, and you can tell that I'm selecting it because the highlight is orange. And for the space button, it's going to call up the tool menu, and this will change regarding depending on the situation, and give you different objects. So for object mode, it's just going to give you this. So if you want to specify how to use to set the preferences, in case you set the preferences as right for select, you can go to the edit menu. The edit menu is to the top. Click on the edit menu. You'll have a drop down. Go all the way to the bottom of the edit menu drop down. You'll see preferences with the cog wheel. Click that one, and then you go all the way to key map. It's right above system. And then you want to go in. We're choosing right mouse to select this, and we use the space bar to pull the tool button. I find these are the easiest setting to use, and they're very straightforward, and it's really good if you want to call the tool menu in the middle of editing. You don't have to go in to the sidebar and look for it or to the top. You'll eventually get used to the hotkeys. The hotkeys that are built into Blender right now are very good. As soon as you open up Blender, you'll notice that you always have the same three objects in your scene. The 3D box object, the light model, and the camera model. You can delete them, or you can just leave them into experiment. For this, we'll be leaving them into experiment with, and to enter object mode, if you are not in object mode, is right here on the left side, and you just click on it. And you can see when I select the light, the camera, I can only edit it in object mode. But if I'm selecting the 3D model, I can edit it in more than one mode. So for this tutorial, we'll be covering just the basic toolbars, and then we won't be going into detail with all of them. This is just a quick jump point video. So for the first one, it was just a select box. You can actually just choose the select button from right here, or you can press B. So this is me pressing B, but for using the select button with the select button pressed, I'm going to press down. You'll see this rectangle with a broken line up here, and I can select more than one object, and I'll select any object that I can interact with. This is actually a cursor point, and I'll go into that in more detail in another video. It's more important for setting origins and doing other stuff. You will be using it. So again, you can press B, you don't need to press spacebar, and you can select more than one object. So I selected the model and the light, and it's highlighted in orange. So this is the cursor button. We won't be going to detail because we can actually use that more in a different video. So that if anything, learning it will overwhelm you. Again, if you want to go back and forth and you don't like what you're doing, you can press Control V, and then it will let you go back to a past action, or to your last action. So if you want to move your object back and forth, you'll have to move it according to the axis. So you can move it along the y-axis, the x-axis, or the z-axis, and then using the global axis. Again, if you want to move, you can go click it on this button right here, and you hover over it. It'll actually give you the shortcut, but you can just press G. But if you press G, it'll let you move it in general, but not along an axis. So if you want more precise movements, I suggest you move it with the toolbar, and then just click it and move it with the arrows that are on the object like this. So I'm just grabbing onto the arrows and moving them back and forth. So for the next one, we are going to cover rotate. You can also click on rotate, and again also press R if you want to rotate. So click on your model object. It can be the light or the camera as well. Like you can rotate most objects. So again, you can rotate it from the different axis points, or the white one is just to rotate it in general. And if you want to go back to the original one, you just press Control Z, and yeah, Control Z or Control Z, whatever you prefer. And you can also right click and press rotate, and it'll let you rotate in general. So for the scale button, you can go to the toolbar, press scale, press your object, and then rotate it via the axis. So you'll understand the axis is the future, but it'll be hard to wrap around when you start. But you just know that I think for scale, you click on your 3D object, you can click on scale on the toolbar, and then you can scale according to the axes. So if you go like this, you're scaling with the x-axis. You hold the green knob, you're scaling by the y-axis, and when you're pulling the blue one, you're scaling by the up and down z-axis. And when you're holding the white one in the center, you're scaling all of them at once. You can also click on the circle and it will scale everything at once. And this is buttons than normal transform, and it will just let you transform all of them at once. So it can be hectic. Like, okay, I want to rotate and I want to move, and it'll let me do that once. And then just to undo everything, remember, Control Z, and it'll let you go down to a certain part. And if you also want to see the undo menu from here, it's right here, and undo history as well. And you can go back as much as possible. Again, undo, edit, undo Control Z, or undo history. And you can go all the way back up to box split. The other two are for annotation. You can actually write notes on your model or actually measure your model, but we won't need that right now. We'll cover that in a future video. So for the axes, you can actually see what view you are right here. So for the viewpoint and flash axis. So if you want to know, you want to rotate based on that, you can actually click on the circles here. And again, this is the right side. And I'm just rotating it based on what I want. But how do I know what's front and back and bottom top from the x-axis? You can go to the viewpoint right here, represent object mode, go down, go to viewpoint, and then go to front. So you can see front is right here. So the x-axis is here, the z-axis is here, and we are looking directly onto the y-axis. But if I want to change to perspective mode, by pressing down on and rotating, you'll do this. So I'm right now doing this, I'm just pressing down on the scroll button and then holding down and moving my mouse. And again, if I want to go to front view, I can go through the view button here and go to view, viewpoint, and then front right here, or I can press 1 on Numpad. So if you don't have a keyboard with a numpad, that would be a good suggestion to get, or you can bind it to different keys. But right now I'm using a keyboard with a numpad. And if I want to look at the back, it is Control 1. So we'll know that we're in back view because if you look right here on the left side, we're in back orthographic. Right is the 3 key on numpad, so it's numpad 3, and then left is Control 3. So I just hit it really quickly. Again, right is 3 numpad, and left is Control 3. That's very similar to what front is, and then back is Control front. And again, you can access everything from the viewpoint. You don't have to remember the hotkeys all at once in your beginning, but it'll be easier to use it when you're accessing the hotkeys. And the camera we can ignore for now because you do a lot of settings to the camera. I don't want to overwhelm you because it's pretty overwhelming as it is. And then the last view is top and bottom. And again, you can go access from viewpoint, and then it's numpad 7. And you can see the opposite is Control numpad 7. So that will be numpad 7, we're in top view, Control numpad 7. And if I want to see that from the viewpoint, exact, and it tells you what it is on the top. To explain the difference between perspective and orthographic, perspective is like a less accurate but view of your model, and then orthographic is more precise. So you can see we're in user perspective mode by pointing in the corner. You just go to the corner, you'll see user perspective right here. And then by going to view, if you want to change to perspective to orthographic, it's Numpad 5, which is the middle button on your numpad. And notice the difference between orthographic, that is more precise. If you want to do editing, you need to be doing editing in orthographic view, and it will help you control your model more accurately. And there's also other ways to do it, but working in orthographic view is the best one to work on your model. And in perspective, you can see the difference between the model. To save, you go to the top left hand corner where file is, go to file, and you go down to save as. You can also press shift control S, and here you can, if you already have a file, this bar will be red. So I already did a couple examples, so we're just gonna go 0, 1. And I've noticed that I changed the file name. It is no longer highlighted in red, and the Blender file is called .blend. So you want to press save as, and now your file has been saved, and your file name will be here on the top bar, and that is it. To go over our notes, the hotkeys are as follows. Select is the right mouse button, tools is spacebar, undo is control plus Z, rotate view is to hold or press the scroll mouse button while dragging the mouse, and pan view is to hold the scroll mouse button while holding shift at the same time. So that would be scroll mouse button plus shift for pan view. And for hotkeys, select button and select box is B, move is G, rotate is R, scale is S, and transform is spacebar and then T. For viewpoints, the x-axis is red, the y-axis is green, and the z-axis is blue, or the z-axis, whatever you prefer. And for the viewpoints, you can see the numpad options are here. You can also set your own keypads, but just look over these hotkeys and you'll know. And the front view and the back view, as you can see, the back view is control numpad 1, and the front view is numpad 1. So whatever the one is, the opposite is control that numpad. And to remember the difference between perspective and orthographic, orthographic is a more precise view of your model. So that is the end of part 1. The next part will be editing. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below. I might be redoing this video series in the future when I have better recording equipment. And any notes that you leave, I'll try to take in mind for when I re-record it. So if you want to see the next episode or part, just subscribe to my channel. You can hit the subscribe button, and also leave a comment. And if you like the video series so far and you want to see more, just hit like or also leave a comment. Anyway, thank you for sitting down and actually watching the entire video series. And again, I'll see you in the future.